Welcome back. So what I'll do at the beginning of this session, I'll just walk you through the last topic, the last note which is shared with you all. The topic 6, if you see in the drive, which is shared in the WhatsApp group, the last PDF, I'll just explain you that is a kind of reference for you to go through and map yourself. That has got 10 charts where you will be able to find yourself in one of the position, so that you can just work yourself to improve upon the conservation of vitality, right? So a disclaimer that it is not a medicinal recommendation. I can go through this. This is an educational endeavor. Now the same 10 factors, and each factor will have one chart. Each factor will have one chart, and each chart will have these 8 categories, 8 rows, which will have the best, the recommendation as the best choice, then the next best choice, then good choice, then so-so choice, then bad choice, very bad choice, and then detrimental choice, highly detrimental choice. Now, this may sound opinions, good or bad, but these are in respect to the conservation of vitality. We may find ourselves in the region of detrimental, highly detrimental in one of the factors, or two of the factors, or a couple of the factors, couple of more factors. But that doesn't seize the opportunity of improvement in other factors, right? We need to remember this aspect. Now let's go through just one or two charts so that you will be able to understand how to go through, right? And that's how you can refer it and map it with your lifestyle, so that you can just drift it to the next better alternative, right? For example, this is the sunlight, the radiation aspect, radiation intake, right? The radiation intake, the dawning sunshine, and a lot of time in open nature in the morning. Dawning sunshine, if we are taking and spending a lot of time in open nature in the morning, that is the best case as far as the conservation of vitality in terms of radiation is concerned. Now, I might be in this fifth, less exposure to outside. Slowly and gradually, if you go down, then you will find that the exposure to the radiation is blocked. For example, the last one, the exposure to artificially configured radiation. Suppose a person in medical profession and working in the MRI scan center, always exposed to the artificial radiation. So he is in a danger zone, right? So he can mindfully reduce the exposure by opting some or other measure. The best is the change of the profession if it is feasible. But other factors he can improve upon a lot and bring a balance in overall conservation of vitality. That is what is the proposal here. So let's take another chart which we have not touched upon, maybe of the spinal care, which we actually, this was the speed activity matters. Under the activity matters, there are 3 factors: spine care, exercise, and sleep. Spine care, exercise, and sleep. The first is the spine care. So what is the meaning of spine care? Why spine care is separately mentioned? Because the spine, hello? Yeah, Nitin sir, can you please mute? Yeah, thank you. So spine care, why spine care is so important? Spine care is important because spine is the bridge between the headquarter and the whole body. The brain and the whole body is connected through the spine, and spine is supposed to be the central axis of the body. What is the meaning of the central axis? We understood the symmetry. Our body is a symmetrical existence which has got the central axis as the spine. That means the mass of the body is equally distributed in natural general condition around the spine, both the sides of the spine. So it is naturally crafted that way, programmed that way. So for example, the heart is in the left side, and that is why the left lung is smaller to give the accommodation to the heart and balance the mass on both the sides. So the spine care actually relaxes the whole body, because the spine is the central axis and connected to each and every corner of the body. So spine has got extra importance in pure nature cure recommendation. So conscious spine care means occasionally dipping ourselves inside the water consciously and periodically. That is what is the hydrotherapy I talked about while discussing about the water. So if we can dip ourselves inside the water, if we can have swimming as one option in life, or otherwise if we can dip ourselves in the spinal bathtub or a normal bathtub, maybe periodically, weekly once, yeah, or 15 days, once in 15 days. Or if we have a lot of pains in the body, then we can increase that frequency, weekly, twice, thrice, kind of. If we have tremendous pain and we want to reduce that discomfort without suppressing it, then hydrotherapy to be opted very frequently. And for that, you can consult a nature cure therapist or nature cure consultant.
Besides water therapy, what are the other ways for conscious spinal care?
Yeah, so these are the enlisted here, ma'am. So keeping the balance of the body consciously while we are sitting, we should take care of our posture, that putting the pressure on the spine equally from both the sides. So while standing, we should consciously keep our both the feet on with the same pressure, not on one side we are standing always. So these all the conscious correction. If we have inculcated a wrong posture, we can reverse it mindfully. When we understand the importance of the spine, we can definitely improve upon our treatment to the spine. Treatment in the sense like how we treat our spine. Standing and walking in the balance. So if we are having a always conscious spine care, that is the best case. Other than that, keeping mindfully balance of the body, standing and walking in the balance, imbalancing posture is start of the problem, so category. Then continuous exhaustion of the spine. If my profession leads me to exhaust the spine continuously, taking loads imbalancely, so we need to be very mindful about lifting any load. How much balanced load we are putting on the spine, that matters a lot, right? So injury is definitely an unfortunate occurrence, but it is very bad for the spine and the conservation of vitality on the spine. If somebody is confined to bed, then the spine care is compromised, right? So we need to opt for physiotherapy and massages and all those stuff. And the primary caregiver needs to be understanding all these aspects of pure nature cure if they want to opt pure nature cure management. If somebody is unconscious, not able to support the physiotherapy even, it is highly detrimental. And the chances of recovery, natural recovery, is very less in those cases. So this way, there are 8, total 10, 2 we have covered, 8 more tables, which you can refer yourself. These are self-explanatory. We need not to spend time on that. Instead of that, we can actually interact and clear our doubts, right? Whichever is coming to our mind. So I'll keep these tables for your own going through and raise the doubts for next 1 week. We'll be connected in this particular WhatsApp group itself. We'll be trying to address all the doubts that you'll be raising out of these materials and or anything that comes to your mind, right? So for example, the sexual understanding chart we can go through under the mind matters topic. So sex, why sex is a separate importance in the factors? You remember that 3 capabilities: repair, reproduce, and regulate. So one of the primary capability is this reproductive capability, which is driven by the sex. So it is a natural capability of all the organism, and for this specific organism of Homo sapiens, the sex has got a special attention. Sex has got a special attention, but programmatically, sex is a physical act, and it should be matter driven, as all other things we are proposing as to be matter driven. If it becomes an idea driven aspect, that means the thought of sex is being enjoyed by me. If the thought of sex is being enjoyed by me, then I'm compromising my vitality, because that would create a perennial loop, and I'll be addicted to those thoughts time to time to have that same enjoyment at my body level. Because bodily enjoyment is very much enjoyment for me, and it is a reality for me. But the root of that enjoyment is my imagination. If it is a matter driven, if I am in the proximity of a partner who consented for the interaction, sexual interaction, then I feel the urge to interact. This is a natural phenomena we need to understand. Nevertheless, the final objective of the sex programmatically is the reproduction and the procreation. In case of, we use the term procreation for mankind, because procreation is a journey. It is not just the physical reproduction. It is a combination of physical and cognitive growth. It is an opportunity to grow physically and cognitively both. So if we are not considering the procreation, suppose we are just indulging ourselves in sex with a partner, consenting partner, and consenting partner means cognitively we are aligned. That is what is the consenting partners. If we are cognitively aligned, that means we have grown cognitively with that partner. If we are cognitively aligned, then we are physically aligning ourselves. So that physical touch will give us a sense of physical growth. It is the deepest touch. The sexual intercourse is the deepest touch, and it gives the pleasure of the physical growth along with the cognitive growth. It's a combination of physical and cognitive growth. We understand that the sense of the physical growth will retain for few moments. It cannot be continued. But after that, we should still feel connected with that person cognitively. Then only the whole purpose of the sexual interaction will be mitigated, right? And if it is added with the procreative journey, then that gives further relaxation to our vitality engagement, because it is supporting the growth. Any activity which supports the growth will be relaxing. And the kind of exhaustion in the process of procreation also sometimes we get, that exhaustion is idea driven, because we are not able to enjoy the physical growth and the combination of the cognitive growth in the process of procreation. And because of a lot of ideas and exhaustion happening, we are not able to enjoy the actual growth that is happening alongside. Right. So let's go through this chart to understand the proposal. The first is the consciously executed procreative sexual activities. Try and understand each word. Consciously executed procreative sexual activities. That means the partners, those who are in the procreative journey. It is not that the time of the sex means the number of the procreation. Obviously, it is a procreative journey. Procreative journey. So sexual interaction during the procreative journey will enhance the procreative, the quality of the procreative journey. Try and understand this aspect. So if you have a child, and if you do have act of sex with your partner, then the love between the partners is enhanced, and that love between the partners will enhance the sense of security in your child. More the love exists between the partners, the child will be much more secured, and the growth of the child will be far more effective if there is a love between the partners. And the act of sex will actually enhance the love for sure, right? So now here, that growth of the child should be identified as your own growth, which is a natural aspect. But if you are forgetting by chance, then you need to align yourself that my child, if it is growing, then it is my part of the body which is growing, which is a combination of cognitive and physical growth. So the growth of the child is a unique experience of the growth of combination of physical and cognitive growth. If that is happening, then it is the best execution of the sex in terms of conservation of vitality. We are not proposing any ethics here. We are not proposing any moral here. We are just proposing, if I have a clarity about sex, then I conserve a lot of vitality. Similarly, if you go down the line in this particular chart, the conscious and responsible sexual activity, even if the procreation is not happening, then also it is the next best. So for example, the lesbian couples, if they have responsible partnership and executed sexual activities, it is relaxing. Acknowledging the procreative association, the third point, acknowledging the procreative association, even if biologically non-productive. So the straight partners, male-female partners, but not procreative. Biologically, some limitation is there, but acknowledging this factor that procreation is a needful growth, but by chance it is a limitation. I'm ready to accept it. I have to accept it, but I acknowledge that procreation is the sex is a bridge of the procreation. So sex is only for enjoyment. If it is being identified, then it is a denial of the truth. Now the fourth, rational self-stimulation. Rational self-stimulation means it is an idea-driven stimulation, but maybe you are indulging yourself by thinking your own partner. It is somewhat rational. It is a so-so thing. It is not very much encourageable, but it is a somewhat. So it is what we are talking here is the masturbation thinking your own partner, which is very rare. Over focus on the act of sex is definitely an enervating act, because the sex is very important execution of the body. The fluid that we produce during the sex is highly productive and highly complex, that is produced by the body by transmuting and synthesizing all the chemicals available. So as the seed and nuts is very concentrated because it contains life, similarly the reproductive fluid, it contains life or it supports life. In both the cases, it is very complex. So over focus on the act of sex. If we are physically driven, then we will not be ever over focusing on the sex. If we are idea driven, lot of ideas are there of the sex. So in this age of multimedia and exposure to the pornography, this is actually damaging the youngsters a lot. We need to, so in the name of sex education, we understand how to use condoms, but we don't understand the rational aspect of the sex. We need to incorporate this understanding, because sex is an important aspect, but over focusing of the sex idea based is damaging the vitality conservation. Irrational self stimulation, it is just extension of the same idea based sex. Denying the procreative connection, that sex is not for procreation, this is for enjoyment only. That means that individual is at the periphery, not able to go deep to understand the natural aspect. Perversion in sexuality, where the consents are denied, that irrespective of the consent, I have to have sex. The rapist aspect, it's highly detrimental. In the occasion of rape, the rapist is actually harming himself or herself the most. The being raped person is just assaulted physically, then ideated socially somehow, and feeling that he or she is the sufferer. Actually, it is just a physical accident for that individual. The actual damage is happening for the rapist. So that's what is this chart. And similarly, we have the rational understanding aspect. We have the mental poise aspect. Okay, so I will come back to the previous one. Regarding the commercials, I got some personal messages also about the our commercial clarity of the commercial model. So you can go to our website, you can read. So website is scisolution.info. You'll have a lot of questions there. All the tabs are actually questions. Why, what, how much kind of. So how much tab is that about the commercial model? So it's the IV model that we follow, I value you model, where we don't price ourselves. There are some rationals, those are explained there on that page. You can go through that. And we have shared the payment link. We'll be sharing in the WhatsApp chat box again, through which you can evaluate your experience and price and pay. And there is no judging aspect. We opt depending upon the amount that you pay. That is a burden for us, right? So last word is knowledge ushers the change. That's what is the objective here in this workshop. We should have some awareness which bring the possibility of change from inside. The cigarette box actually, we have kept intentionally that smoking kills, is the knowledge that is being thrown, but casually perceived. That is why the change is not happening maybe. But if we can become little bit conscious and little bit curious to go deeper into the origin, we'll find a change for sure, internally driven. So with that, this is the final presentation, but we'll go back to the previous one. Meanwhile, we'll be taking questions. So primarily now in this session, we'll be going for the question answer. Whatever the doubts are coming in, because in these 2 days, we cannot expect a magic or a lot of changes in our understanding, but you have to be on this path to see the change. Yeah, over to you all.
Kalyan, can you also spend a minute or two on exercise?
Yes. Exercise is the movement enhancement. Movement enhancement. Why exercise? This is one question, because a lot of noise at my end. Some procession is going on. Anyway, it's not disturbing you guys, right?
No, I think
am I audible?
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay, right. So exercising needs vitality engagement. Then why exercising? This is the first question that I confront. like exercising needs your vitality, then why exercise? Because we are talking about the conservation of the vitality. Now we need to understand the toxic blood needs a lot of vitality in its circulation. Chemically, it needs to push. Now, if we mechanically give some support to that circulation, so that support will reduce the vitality engagement in that chemical circulation. And that is the need of that is why we need to exercise separately. Not only exercise, it's a physical activity primarily. If you are physically active, then you don't need any extra exercise. Now, how to identify that you are physically active? I'll give you a litmus test for that. Suppose you are sitting in the drawing room of yours and somebody comes at the doorstep, you got the calling bell. And you went to to open the door yourself. And you came back and came to your seat where you are sitting without feeling any pinch of pride or grudge towards other members of the house that I have to go every time to open the door. Are you able to understand this? That this physical activity which you have taken is not bothering you at all. That kind of free movement is there in your physical activity, then you can consider yourself physically active. If you feel that you have to go to the door to open the door, it's a burden for you, then you are not physically active. Look at a child. I see my daughter, who is 5-year-old, always she runs to the door to open the door. Now that door latch is a little above, so we have fixed a latch according to her height. Now she opens the door every time. So that kind of activity, and she doesn't bother. She doesn't claim for a credit that I have gone to open the door, and that is what is the physical activity. So if you are that kind of active, then you don't need any extra exercise. Now, lymphatic system, as you see on the screen, the lymphatic system, is my screen visible?
Yes, it's
So, yeah. So lymphatic system is a bridge between the blood and the cell. Blood supplies the nutrients and takes back the toxin from the cell. The metabolism, you remember we talked about the metabolism. In that metabolism aspect, whatever the nutrients come in, that is from the blood, and the toxin goes back to the blood. Now, lymphatic system is the system which is actually operating in between the cell and the blood. It is an open system. Now, what happens in case of an innervated state? The lymphatic system contains the toxin, and primary toxemia happens in the lymphatic system. And lymphatic system is an open system. Open system means there is no pump. Blood circulatory system is a closed system which is having a pump called heart. But the lymphatic system is an open system which doesn't have a pump. In open system, we cannot fit a pump. Instead of pump, we have joints, and in the joints, inside the joint, there are a lot of lymphatic nodes available. And those nodes are the points of collection of the toxin. If we move our joints, then that open system of lymphatic system gets a push, mechanical push. And that push will mobilize the toxin to further transporting it to the blood, and so that it can be eliminated properly, effectively, right? So exercise has got an importance in terms of movement of the joints, right? And syncing of the breathing is another aspect. As the breathing, we understood that we had 4 steps. In,
Kalyan,
hold,
can you,
out, hold. Yes.
chart You have mentioned that rigorous exercise is bad.
Yes, yes. So there
So
has to be a
some
balance.
people
Yes,
go
yes.
for
Complete
gym.
your question.
They opt for gym. Many
So
children.
opting of the gym is not the problem, but one needs to be mindful that how much one is exhausting in the gym. In the gym, it has to be a relaxed approach of exercise. If it is an obsessive exercise, then it is enervating that individual. We need to understand that. So I was talking about the syncing of the breathing. Somebody wants to ask any question? How much time do you have, Himanshu sir?
My schedule is open, sir, so you go ahead.
No, no. For this particular session, how much time we have now?
4.5 minutes.
1.5 minutes?
Four
Okay.
and a half minutes.
4.5 minutes, right. So I was talking about the breathing, syncing of breathing during the exercise. So breathing, we understood that we have 4 steps in a cycle, like breathing in, hold, breathing out, hold. Similarly, every exercise posture will have something called stretching, then holding, then squeezing, then holding, right? Stretching, holding, then squeezing, holding. So stretching has to be synced with breathing in. Holding has to be synced with holding. Squeezing has to be synced with breathing out. And then the second holding is to be synced with the holding. Is it understandable? Syncing with breathing. For exercise, we need to mindfully sync our breathing with the exercise. That gives us further conservation of vitality. Now, exercise has to be symmetric. Symmetric means if I am rotating my right hand, I should rotate my left hand also. So that will give a symmetric impact on the spine. We need to remember about the spine while doing the exercise. Right? It has to be non-violent. If we can do outdoor exercise, that's the best because we get the benefits of the air also. Right? Yeah, somebody is talking. Oh.
Himanshu sir should mute.
No, it was somebody else. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, sir. You want to ask?
I used to be a badminton player and I played 10 years regular. That
Okay.
means that is exhaustive game. That has I have lost a lot of vitality that time. You mean to say if not this
So it depends how you perceived the that game. Here again, we need to understand the idea here. If you are obsessive about the game, if you were obsessive about the game, like the thoughts of the game used to bring a lot of feelings inside. If you win, you get excited. If you lose, you get depressed. All these things are idea generated feeling. So there we must observe the idea origin. I'm not sure how you executed it. If you have executed that game obsessively, then it has innervated you for sure.
Okay.
If you were very much physical about your feeling, like if you are playing and getting tired, then you are taking rest, responding to it. If you are not taking rest, then you are idea driven. If you are not acknowledging the physical tiredness, then you are idea driven. You need to question yourself that why should I not take rest? So if you have done that way, then it is not innervating. But if you have done obsessively, then it is innervating.
Okay. Thank you.
Right? So exercise can be substantiated by massage and therapy. If it is the individual is not able to exercise, then massage and therapy can supplement the circulation. Right? Any other question or anything, or should we connect for Q&A? One Q&A for some time without any silence spell.
Should be fine.
Right. So let's end this session because this is going to end soon. We are connecting for another 15-20 minutes. Shankar
Yeah.
sir, yes.
Sir,
Yes,
do
yes.
you consider now what is the difference between cognitive and mental? Because sometimes you are referring to physical and cognitive, not mental. You are not mentioning mental.
Yes,
Mental
yes,
and cognition
mental.
is